You're listening to Nuts and Bolts, a podcast about gear and music. With some of your favorite artists, I will dive into the practicalities of how they make their work. Twisting those knobs and pushing those buttons. Welcome back to Nuts and Bolts. Today I'm talking gear with bass player, vocalist, and poet Guro Skumsnes Moe. Guro comes from a background of free improvised jazz. You'll find her playing the double bass with cross-Atlantic group Sult, or the giant octabass, which generates sub-bass frequencies. The octabass is so large that you need to stand on a little platform to be able to play it. Guro also plays electric bass and effected vocals in the band Moe. So Moe is like, it's heavy music. It's like, I'm not sure which genre one would put on it, but it's definitely rock.
It's blue metal.
A blue metal, of course. Okay. Moe have released a number of records, their most recent one being Examination of the Eye of a Horse. As co-organizer of the All Ears Festival in Oslo, Guro has a keen sense for creating a meeting ground for different DIY communities. Usually, homemade hot sauce and the color blue are featured somewhere in the mix.
My first electric bass I got when I was 12. My dad bought it to me. They needed someone to play bass in a school orchestra, and I knew how to play guitar, so that meant I also could play the bass. And I had a bass, and then it stuck with me. Started a band when I was 13. I think I did not have any pedals.
The sadness of your smile, call on forces.
Okay, so I had this one bass up until I was 14 or something. Then I got the one that was turquoise, Warwick bass.
I can't help but wonder whether this was their Vampire NT4 model. Look that up online.
Yes, color is more important than the brand at this point. This was not such a very good bass, I could tell.
As a teenager, Guro went to a high school for the arts.
So I started at the theater department the first year, but then I got this call, or what to say. So I had to...
Like a divine calling?
Kind of, I was in a listen-learn class. I joined them, the music class, and I was like, this I know. I know this, like to hear the tones, and it made much sense. I knew I had to do music for real, or to really learn. And then I had a duo with Anna Marte Sørlin Holen.
That's a percussionist from Oslo.
And we had a duo called Egentlig Engler. And I think I had a chorus pedal and must have had some kind of fuzz pedal, I guess boss boxes. We recorded our first EP ourselves on my dad's Yamaha, like this compact, I don't know what they're called actually. It's a recorder and it also prints out the CD, like do the mix. It had like 24 channels and it had these cool effects on each channel, so we could just went crazy.
When I was young, I figured CDs were recorded in mystical, faraway places, unreachable to me. But these handy CD recorders that Guro is talking about, They look a lot like their cassette tape equivalent, but they're digital. You have, say, 8 channels, and you can plug microphones or instruments into them, play around with the corny inbuilt effects, and press record. You can also overdub on these machines, which means to go back and record something on top of something you already recorded.
It was very handy. And also before this, I made also an EP with my songs. It was with guitar, bass, and vocals, and some percussion. And all Eastern holiday, I was up doing this, and my mom got so angry because I was not, I didn't join the family party. I could borrow my dad's microphones and all cables and stands he plays himself, so it was very easy accessible. It's SM58, I guess I was using.
The SM58 from the brand Shure is the microphone you get for vocals in pretty much every venue across the globe. This is what we call a dynamic microphone, as opposed to a condenser microphone. People mostly use dynamic mics for live performance situations.
I was in San Francisco on a vacation, but one of the main goals was to buy a new bass. Had to have a new bass before starting the Academy of Music, that's a conservatory in Kristiansand. And I found a Zone bass, which has a precision pickup and a Fender bass pickup. These very distinct, different characters of sound.
Pickups are those little metal plates underneath the strings of electric guitars and basses. What they do is that they translate the vibration of the strings into an electric signal, which the amplifier then again translates back into amplified sound. Now, different pickups are made to have different sound characters.
But then also, it was because it was very beautiful. It was not blue, it was wood-like finish. Before I did the audition for the conservatory, I was part of a musical. I was being a week. This was a week before, and I realized I had put Donna Lee as one of the songs I was to play on the audition. It's this very fast jazz tune, and I sat in every break in this theater or the musical with my headphones and this Zoom pedal board, which was a multifunctional effects, but I could also have a metronome on it, and I rehearsed the head of Donna Lee, I think 2 bars at a time, but then I managed to play it though. I was yeah.
How does it go again? I can't remember.
Oh, nightmare. Did it never again.
But you're also, you were doing slap bass.
Yeah, at that time. Oh. I guess that's, don't say it to anyone.
I will keep it secret.
Yeah.
Except for putting it in the podcast.
Sure. Awesome.
getting immersed in jazz at the music academy, Guro started playing double bass as well as electric bass.
It's like needing new sounds.
That included new effect pedals for the electric bass.
But then also I started with pedals on the vocal and loop, of course. This green box, you know.
Oh, you mean the line 6?
Yeah. Sure. Oh, but I had a loop station for my bass, so it was... I went through that phase as well, but thank God it's over. Put so many layers of yourself, it gets static and so boring.
No shade, though.
On all tours and concert up until the Vocaloco came, I guess every vocalist say this, it's been a mess. But through the Vocaloco, the levels are higher and easier to control.
The Vocaloco came by in last month's episode as well. This pedal allows you to run a microphone through guitar effect pedals. Eventide's Mixing Link is another one of these. So microphones have a much lower output level than what effect pedals are made for. That means that if you plug a mic into a guitar pedal, your signal is going to be much softer. Charting up the volume by hand can bring up noise from the mechanics of the pedal. It can interfere with the proper functioning of it even, because it's not made for that. What you need is something to put between the mic and the pedals that amplifies your signal in a decent way. And what Vocaloco and Eventide have done is to add this feature of being able to switch between effected and non-effected signal.
Now I can hear my vocal. You see the necessity of also hearing the vocals as a equal part of the rest, and then you choose differently. I never, like when I'm home, or never have either, like checked for pedals. I've come across all the gear through people who have played something similar, or I've never searched for it.
After getting influenced by musicians like Lasse Marhaug and the band Spunk, Guro and her partner Håvard started the band Moe around 2010. I asked Guro what have been significant pieces of gear for the band.
Of course, to underline the importance of Vocaloco. I bought another bass also in San Francisco, a Fender Mustang from '69. Like this competition series is called, but this is also turquoise. That's an exceptionally beautiful and good sounding bass. This kind of pedals have been more or less this full tone. It's called MOSFET. It's what I've had the most.
That's the bass drive full tone by MOSFET. This pedal gives you a fuller, dirtier tone.
And the Wawa pedal. And the Rat, I think, came perhaps 2012.
The Rat is an iconic distortion pedal, a black box with big white letters on it.
When I bought the bass for 2 years ago, this aluminum bass from Electrical Guitar Company, they have a much heavier sound and the output on the pickups. Mine has just one pickup. It's a short scale since I have very short hands. The sound is so much fat and deep, and the output is really high, which means it took me some time to then adjust how I used the pedals. And then of course I've also changed amps, the high watt tube amps. That's kind of like a religion that you have to do that, but then they look awesome and they sound awesome, but then to tour with them is hell because they are so fragile.
Tube amps are a now fetishized, old-fashioned kind of amplifier. Several glass tubes work to increase the amplitude or the power of the sound. After that, it goes off the deep end in engineering lingo, so let's leave it at that. Suffice it to say that many people swear by the warmer sound and the nicer texture of distortion in these amps, despite their cost and fragility.
Cabinets I've used most of the time 215. I also have a Fender Bassman before I got the high watt, 100 watt Fender Bassman with two. It's like 2 times 15 cabinets. And then what I'm using now is a GK, which is really powerful, but a transistor amp.
A transistor amp is the most commonly used type of amplifier.
I managed to break the transistor amps as well.
Because of touring?
Or playing.
Wow. Amps are made out of 2 sections. You have the loudspeaker part and the amplifier part. Now, in some amps, those are put in one cabinet, and in other amps, they each come in their own, which you put on top of each other and connect.
And with a 4x10 and 115 cabinet, which works excellent. We can't fit anything more in our car when we're packed for tour. There's a guy in Grenoble who builds cabinets. In the future, he will build both for me and for Håvard. There's a band called La Casa Phantom, and I think I want this guy in La Casa Phantom, Lars, to build me an amp as well.
Speaking of breaking things.
And the horrible and expensive part of how I play is I break so many strings, like the E especially, and then that's due to playing too hard, of course, but then wanting a hard sound. An octapedal, I use it for one song, but then also when I break the E string, I put on this pedal and I have to change to the other strings and play the rest of the song, and then very fast change the string.
I asked Guro what changes for her when, instead of playing live, they move into a recording studio.
It's like you put on new ears and you're like, oh no, now it's serious. On recordings, tend to use other pedals that I'm using playing live, and also I've played other amps. Because you need less volume when you record. That's taken some time to learn. Like on the Oslo Janus and then Examination of the Eye of a Horse, Håvard recorded everything. So we were in our own studio, like a rehearsal space. We've also recorded all differently since we took one instrument at a time, like any other pop record. And the vocal we could use it in a different way. I had really deep and soft voice, but you could hear it because the way it was recorded. Spending almost a day trying different amps, pedals, and putting various microphones on the cabinets to like see, and then sometimes we disagree, but it's both about the ears and the feeling, how you feel. It's just okay, this is right, and then yeah, this is right, and then you worked for it also, like you've chosen from a variety. So that's been the process of the last recording. The difference, like towards vocal on this last recording, it was that we actually spent time on it, and that was so frightening. On either it's been live, so the vocal has been recorded the same time, or I've done it the day after and it's like really one take or two. Håvard worked really well now with the choosing, or we tried a lot of microphones and actually found that was belonged to Jenny Wahl, the Gefell. Yeah, but this one was excellent to my voice, being more dark, so like RE20, which I now used. We recorded in Mexico when we were just there.
The Gefell and the RE20 are recording microphones with different characters.
We tried, it was RE20, which actually sound too deep on my voice, but then we just let it, but then to actually work so thoroughly, and I had to listen actually to my voice, was painful. Yeah.
In the studio, Guro has used different approaches when it comes to using her pedals versus using effects in the recording software.
I sing just clean, and the effects are put on afterwards, but then in like from a desired version as how I do it live on my pedals, like it's a chorus, distortion, and delay.
Digital reverb?
Yeah.
These are all bass pedals, are they?
Bass pedals. Excellent.
Maybe we can get a sponsorship deal.
Well, I'm happy though. I guess they will be broken soon though. But yeah, so then it's actually a bit strange though not to have the sound you are desired, because I'm so used to when I sing the songs live to hear that kind of version of my voice. But when we now recorded in Leon, we used the pedals, and that's, or at least up until we find out it didn't work, we used that vocal with just how it's intended from the pedals. I think at least one or two need a better vocal, but some of them have the effects on and will work. So it was a new process, but nice.
We talked a little more about using effect pedals for production and arrangement purposes in a live setting, in this case on vocals. Is the reverb just for like a little lubrication, or do you do more with that?
It's massive. It's like a hall. On some songs, it's hall like vocal. Our sets are intense and kind of violent, and then this vocal like just opens and then closes when I don't have it. New rooms inside a set, and then with the chorus also makes this hallucinative kind of fits the songs though. It's towards lyrics and the intention of the songs. I'm not all comfortable with the levels on this distortion. I might find a new one. Sometimes it gives, or the effect of it, sometimes it's the opposite, it goes down. So it's more of a secretive, non-human voice. It's not like a noise concert when I put it on. It's just to alienate the voice.
Thanks for listening to Nuts and Bolts. Nuts and Bolts is edited and mixed by yours truly, Jessica Sligter. Thanks to our guest, Guro Skumsnes Moe. Thanks to co-producers Anne Gerd Grimsbu Haar and Susanne Christensen. and to Ragnhild Nelvik Bruseth for sound technical advice. Thanks to the Norwegian Arts Council for supporting Nuts and Bolts. You can find and follow us on social media, and stay tuned for the 3rd episode of Nuts and Bolts, which will come at you on the 3rd Thursday of May.